Welcome to this episode. Had you subscribed yet? Chapter 24. The first appearance of the river. God, Stele. The rainstorm had been raging in Yunshan village for 3 days. The bluestone roads were washed to a cold sheen. The water level of the Yinshui River had risen 3 feet higher than usual, and the outlines of stone coffins faintly floated beneath the turbid water. Su Wanyan stood on the riverbank, watching the soil, swollen from being soaked by the rain, peel off in large chunks, revealing half of a stele covered in moss. A river god sacrificed stele he had never seen before. The stele was dark red in color, with an uneven surface as if scratched by countless hands. Su Wanyan crouched down. As soon as his fingertips touched the top of the stele, a bone-chilling coldness crawled up his arm and spread throughout his body. Countless fragments suddenly flashed before his eyes. The Nuo opera troupe in 1937 kneeling in front of the stele, the shadow cast by his mother Su Xunyang's silver bracelet on the stele surface, and the scene where the coffin-shaped birthmark on the back of Lin Yunyang's neck coincided with the patterns on the stele. The river goddess Stele ... The half of the Nuo opera mask in his sleeve suddenly grew hot, and the human tooth in the eye socket glimmered faintly in the rain. The moment the mask touched the stele, the moss on the stele's surface curled up and scattered like a living thing, revealing layer upon layer of blood-red characters. These characters seemed to be engraved into the stone surface with fingernails, with ragged edges from the tearing. For the twin fiends, one inherits the divine vein, one carries the fierce soul. Destroy their eyes, and the 1,000 hands can be severed. Su Wanyan's heart rate suddenly accelerated, and the pagoda wood birthmark on his left ring finger throbbed. He continued to read along the blood-red characters. In the middle of the stele was engraved the symbol of the twin fiends, 2 overlapping coffin shapes with his birthmark embedded in the middle, and Wanyan and Yunyang were engraved on the coffin lids respectively. The characters further below were covered by a newly chiseled mark. Stone powder flowed down mixed with the rain, revealing the words, "Return to position and sacrifice to heaven," beneath. Wanyan, Lin Yunyang's voice came from behind. Su Wanyan turned around and saw her standing in the rain curtain, holding an oil paper umbrella. The birthmark on the back of her neck glowed faintly in the humid air. "What are you doing here?" Just as he was about to speak, the river god Stele suddenly made a soft click sound, and another section of the inscription emerged from beneath the peeling moss. The blood of the twin fiends, sacrificed once every 1,000 years. The river, God swallows the soul, and the mountain, God devours the spirit. Su Wanyan noticed that the engraving marks of this passage were significantly older than the blood-red characters above. Fine pagoda. Wood chips were embedded between the strokes, exactly the same as the wood texture in his birthmark. "Don't look!" Lin Yunyang suddenly rushed over. The oil paper umbrella fell to the ground with a clatter. She reached out to grab Su Wanyan's wrist, but the moment she touched the stele, she suddenly withdrew her hand, and blood beads seeped from her fingertips. Su Wanyan saw that her blood beads, when dropped on the stele, flowed along the words, "Destroy their eyes," staining the "I" character in the middle of the word "destroy" bright. Just then, heavy footsteps came through the rainstorm. Lin Wanshan, the village head, wearing a soaked black robe, held a blood-stained chisel in his hand. The pagoda tree root scar on the back of his neck was particularly ferocious under the wash of the rain. When he saw the two of them, his pupils suddenly contracted, and the chisel clattered to the ground. "Who told you to come here?" Su Wanyan stared at the stone powder beside Lin Wanshan's feet and found that fresh human blood was mixed in it. On the wooden handle of the chisel, dark red bloodstains seeped from the clear fingerprint marks. He suddenly remembered what Chen Shazi had said before his death. In 1937, the river god Stele was re-engraved with the blood of the living by the opera master. Village head, the words on this Stele ... double quotes. Su Wanyan had just started when Lin Wanshan suddenly pounced on the stele, using his body to block the newly appeared characters. Only then did Su Wanyan notice that there was an obvious indentation in the lower left corner of the stele, as if something had been deliberately chiseled off. and the shape of the indentation was exactly the same as the half mask in his hand. "Mind your own business, kid." Lin Wanshen's voice trembled, and his right hand quietly reached for the pagoda wood mail at his waist. "The river god's sacrifice is coming soon. You should prepare to be the 20th human pillar." Su Wanyan interrupted him, pressing the mask against the indentation on the stele. The broken edge of the mask fit the indentation perfectly. In 1937, you altered the river god Stele, changing the twin fiends sever the thousand hands to the twin fiends return to position and sacrifice, right? Lin Wanshen's face instantly turned deathly pale, and the scar on the back of his neck suddenly wriggled and burrowed into his collar like a living thing. Su Wanyan saw that the stele glowed red the moment the mask touched it. The words, "Destroy their eyes," which had been chiseled away, reappeared. Only that there was a fresh chisel mark below the word "destroy," and the "I" character was gouged out, turning it into "destroy their double." Do you think that by destroying the inscription, the twin fiends will obediently return to their positions? Su Wanyan's voice, mixed with the sound of rain, carried a coldness even strange to himself. "Before my mother was laid in the coffin, she engraved the real incantation at the bottom of the stele." His words stopped abruptly because Lin Wanshan suddenly took out a dagger with the same incantation as on the river god, Stele engraved on the blade, and stabbed it towards his heart. In a split second, Lin Yunyang suddenly pushed Su Wanyan away. The dagger sliced through her sleeve, leaving a long and deep wound on her arm. Her blood dripped onto the words "return to position" and "sacrifice to heaven" on the stele, actually staining the character heaven into corpse. "Yunyang." Su Wanyan held her up and found that as her blood beads rolled on the stele surface, they outlined the outline of the thousand-hand corpse god, and the positions of the corpse god's eyes were exactly where his and Lin Yunyang's birthmarks were. Taking the opportunity, Lin Wanshan kicked over the stele. The stele crashed to the ground, revealing the ancient engraving marks on the bottom. When the twin fiends appear, the thousand hands open their eyes. "Destroy the eyes and sever the hands, and Yunchen will be forever pacified." The rainstorm suddenly intensified. Su Wanyan saw that beside the words "destroy the eyes" engraved on the bottom of the stele, two overlapping coffin shapes were drawn. Inside the coffins lay a man and a woman wearing masks, and their faces were exactly his and Lin Yunyang's. What made his heart pound even more was that at the very bottom of the engraving marks, the name of his mother, Su Xunyang, was engraved, with the words next to it, "Use the soul as a furnace, the blood as a guide. When the twin fiends return to their positions, the godhood will return." Taking advantage of the chaos, Lin Wanshan picked up the chisel and smashed it towards the words "Destroy the eyes" on the bottom of the stele. As stone chips flew, the character "destroy" completely shattered, leaving only the "sever the hands." Su Wanyan suddenly understood that the so-called "destroy their eyes" meant destroying the eyes of the twin fiends themselves. He was the left eye, and Lin Yunyang was the right eye. Only by destroying them could the thousand hands be severed. Your mother discovered this back then, so she volunteered to be laid in the coffin. Lin Wanshan's voice carried a sobbing tone, and the chisel clattered to the ground. She wanted to destroy the twin fiends, but I couldn't let Yunyang die. Su Wanyan was stunned. His gaze fell on the scar on the back of Lin Wanshan's neck, and he suddenly remembered the torn page from Chunzizi's diary. On the autumnal equinox in 1937, the opera master eroded himself with the mountain. God curse. Just to make the river god's vein believe in his single quotes, and single quotes, ... double quotes. So, the pagoda tree root scar on the back of Lin Wanshan's neck was the mark of his deal with the mountain god, and the price of the deal was to sacrifice a human pillar every 10 years, until the twin fiends returned to their positions. Village head, do you think sacrifice can save Yunyang? Su Wanyan helped Lin Yunyang up. Her wound was healing quickly, but the birthmark on the back of her neck became brighter than ever. The river god Stele has already told you that the fate of the twin fiends is not to return to their positions, but to destroy the eyes and sever the hands, destroy the eyes of the thousand hands and sever its hands. The rainstorm subsided slightly. The broken pieces of the river god Stele glimmered in the water. Su Wanyan picked up a fragment engraved with "Sever the Hands" and suddenly heard the sound of stone coffins colliding coming from the depths of the Yinshui River. 19 stone coffins broke through the water. In the eye sockets of the Nuoyapra masks on the inner side of the coffin lids, the reflections of him and Lin Yunyang were shown, and the corners of each mask curled into the same cold smile. Lin Yunyang suddenly pointed at the fragment of the river god Stele, her voice trembling. Wanyan, look at the small characters next to "Sever the Hands." Su Wanyan leaned closer and saw extremely small characters engraved on the edge of the fragment, as if engraved with a fingernail. Those who sever the hands must first sever their own hands. Those who destroy the eyes must first destroy their own eyes. The twin fiends can only save the world by self-destruction. His left ring finger suddenly ached sharply. The ligneous birthmark was spreading towards his palm, and on the back of Lin Yunyang's neck, the coffin-shaped birthmark actually split into two, one on the back of her neck and the other on her wrist, forming a complete 1,000-hand pattern. In the distance, 3 bell rings came from the direction of the paper-making shop. It was the warning bell set by Chen Qiaozi during his lifetime. Su Wanyan helped Lin Yunyang up and took one last look at the river god Stele. Although the stele was broken, the engraving marks were deeply engraved in his memory. He knew that from today on, the fate of the twin fiends was no longer to be chosen, but they had to tear open the wound of the truth with their own hands, even if that wound would make them fall into darkness forever. The rainstorm poured down again. Su Wanyan carried Lin Yunyang and walked towards the village. Under the oil paper umbrella, the shadows of the two were elongated by the rain, casting overlapping coffin shapes on the blue stone. And the broken pieces of the river god Stele were floating away with the flood of the Yinshui River. The blood-red characters on each fragment were telling the buried truth in the rain. The blood of the twin fiends was never a sacrifice, but a key to unlock fate. A key that could either save the world or destroy it. The end of this episode. The story continues. Subscribe now.